Good evening, everybody. Welcome to CW Live. My name's Chris Webb, Head of Communications at the CW. Delighted to have with me tonight Deputy General Secretary, Telecom and Financial Services, Andy Kerr. Good evening, Andy.
Evening, Chris.
And the President of the CW, Karen Rose. Evening, Karen.
Evening, Chris.
So you may have noticed that Dave, who is scheduled, is not Dave Waller, General Secretary, is not with us. He's picking up some media, which I know will be of interest to many of you. So Dave is working on that for us tonight for the dispute. Tonight is a vital session for all of our BT and Openreach members. We've got strike action obviously resuming tomorrow. We need every member out. That's what the session's about, really. It's as simple as that. We know that some of you will be obviously feeling the pinch financially. We know the company are toughing it out, but so are we, and so are you. We're not going to accept a company that makes billions and billions of pounds of profit handing you pennies. So the first thing you can do, though, is let us know in the comments where you're watching from. Let us know that you're back in the union. Just simply put the word strike in the comments now if you're going to be on strike, and I'll get as many of those up on screen as I can. Whilst you do that, I'm going to ask Andy just to open up the session with some initial words. Over to you, Andy, if you can, buddy.
Oh, thanks, Chris, and welcome everybody on tonight, and anybody who's watching and sort of repeat, as I say. This is really a call to arms in some respects. Another 4 days of strike action we've called, first one tomorrow morning, and it's really important that we keep up the fight with BT. We're not backing down as a leadership, and none of us should back down to this company. As Chris just said there, this company can well afford further pay rises this year, and it's important that we show them we're strong. Yes, it is hard for our members, and we understand it's hard for our members this period of time, but we can't sit back and just let them run over us on this. It's really the time. Get out on those picket lines tomorrow. Get out there. Make sure, stick together. We really need to have a real good show tomorrow. This company needs to be taught a lesson, and I believe that the members that we've got will stick it together on the picket line, and we will win this fight.
Thank you, Andy. Brilliant. Karen, over to you. So we initial message.
Yeah, similar to Andy, really. Look, we never thought this was going to be easy. We always knew that this was going to be a tough fight. It is a tough fight, but we have to keep the fight up. So tomorrow, so important, right? Because we've got the 4 days of action so far. Next 4 days now coming up in the next few weeks. Absolutely vital that you're out there on those picket lines, showing your support, sticking together, right? Because solidarity and being united is what wins these battles. And it is a battle. And as I said, it's not going to be, we never thought it was going to be an easy win, but we are having an impact. We're having a massive impact, actually. And as time goes on, you have a cumulative impact. So these next strikes are vitally important. And we need you out there showing that support, showing that solidarity, sticking together, having that camaraderie, and making sure that we actually are in this to win it.
Thank you, Karen. Brilliant from both of you. And I can see so many of you actually posting strike in the comments. Can keep up with you. So that is a good message to the bosses watching, who undoubtedly be scanning the session tonight. Andy, I want to talk a little bit about a couple of things, actually. So a little bit about our members potentially having to choose sides. I'm going to put it on screen. I know you and Karen can't see this, but the members can see it, the front page of the Mirror from a couple of months ago, where Philip Janssen, alongside ironically Simon Thompson of Royal Mail CEO, was on the front page of the Mirror with his £3.5 million salary, 86 times that of the average BT worker. Is this really about our members tomorrow choosing whose side they're on? Are they on the side of their colleagues, their local union reps, or are they with Phil Janssen and the likes of him in this country?
Well, we can't back down to these type of bosses. This guy is earning lots of money, 3.5 million, as you say, 86 times the average wage of BT workers. That's just outrageous at any point in time. And it's even more outrageous in the current crisis we're going through. And I say before, we, deserve this. Our members deserve this pay rise. Our members have worked hard for it, not just through this pandemic, and we've said this many times, but for all the work they've put in, to give them a pay rise that's well under inflation. And things have got worse even since that was imposed on us in April. And there's no recognition from the leadership of this company. No recognition from Philip Jansen or any of the others at the top of the company, that people are actually beginning to suffer in here. I mean, I think it's a disgrace. I can see many other companies in the UK who have woke up, who've understood the problems of the workforces and have came back and given them whatever, but certainly given them more than they did back in March, April time. There's no recognition from this company, no recognition of that from this leadership. They are prepared for our people, in some respects, just to make the decisions this winter, eat or heat, and that is what it is. And anybody who runs a company like that, understanding the workforce, is going through what they're going through. For me, they don't deserve to be the CEO of this company.
Thank you, Andy. Carol, I'm going to stick up another one if I can find it here, which is from BT's own financial report, which is obviously just been through Philip Jansen's pay. Simon Louth, Chief Financial Officer, £2.235 million, a 25% increase on his pay last year. So the guy who says, holds the purse strings of the company, says, you can't have anything, I can't afford to give you a proper pay rise, but 25% is good enough for me. This is the sort of people our members are against, and this is the sort of person people need to have in their minds tomorrow morning, surely.
Well, absolutely, because look, I actually think that for people who actually have an income that is that size, they can't possibly understand what it is like for our members, the workers in this company, and the impact that the cost of living crisis is having on them. They can't possibly understand it. It's double standards. They actually quite clearly think that it's okay to award themselves these massive pay rises. That the increase that they've had in the last year is way over inflation, and yet they're not giving inflation-proof rises, cost of living rises to the workers, the people who work hard, they graft. They are the ones that generate the profit. So it is double standards, it's hypocritical, and actually we have to stand up against that and say, no, actually, the people who are grafting in this company, the workers out there, those people who are doing the jobs day in, day out, sometimes in all winds and weathers, right? They are the people who should be rewarded out of the profits that they've grafted to make. So yes, we have to make this stand. We have to expose the hypocrisy of the double standards of giving executive pay at massive levels compared to the workers. And we have to continue to stand together, keep that solidarity, and we have to win this fight.
Thank you, Karen. Brilliant. Andy, one of the questions from a lot of members, and I know you answered this last time, is, are there two voucher strike action in the next 2 days, and then are they going to come out of different pay packets? Quite a few members asking that.
Yeah, they do come out of that. The 6th and the 10th, the next 2 days, they will come out the October pay packet. But the last 2 days of we've set so far, the 20th and 24th will come out the November pay packet, and we've intentionally done that. But let me be clear, Chris, and this may be given the opportunity to do it. We hope the company sees sense. We have asked the company to come back to the table and discuss it. We'll formalise that potentially in the next few days with the company, but we have asked them to come back because we want the strike over as soon as I suspect all our members do, and the company should do, because it's not doing anybody any harm, any good really in that respect. It's not doing the company any good. So we do want it over. We are willing to talk, and that's the important piece. We are willing to talk and come to an agreement here. But I'll be clear tonight. We haven't taken any decisions yet. But if these 4 days don't bring the company back to the table at any time between now and then, we will be setting further dates, and we will look at different ways of having industrial action, and we will set those dates early. So we won't be waiting to the end. We will be setting them in the next few weeks, and we'll have that discussion. But we're quite clear. Everybody has to be solid tomorrow, and I keep on saying this. This is a matter of make sure you're on that picking line. Talk to your fellow workers. Get them out there. Get the people out and show this company up for what they are.
Thank you, Andy. Brilliant. Karen, one of the questions, and a totally legitimate challenge from our members, has been like, where's the media coverage? And I think you, Andy, Dave, and others have obviously talked about, some of the difficulties we faced in terms of gaining media coverage. We've said it before, didn't we? The trains go on strike, there's no trains. The post goes on strike, there's no post. But obviously, the internet and the telecommunications network has so far carried on working on strike days. But tomorrow morning, we've secured coverage from Good Morning Britain, the BBC, Radio 4, ITV, Channel 5, the Financial Times, GB News, Sky News, and quite a few, and lots of local media outlets. So we're throwing everything at it to make sure our members get more coverage. Just, I suppose, really a word or two from you on the efforts we've been making, but also members understanding that sometimes the media aren't our friends.
No, the media certainly are not always our friends, right? And actually, they're not friends to trade unions, so they generally, it's kind of that is the case. But look, we have absolutely. And last week we were away in Liverpool at Labour Party conference, and we made sure that we maximised every opportunity we had there with the media coverage of that conference, and made sure that we got slots whenever we could in order to be able to promote our disputes, both in BT, Openreach, and in the Royal Mail dispute. Yep. So we have been throwing, as Chris said, he said we've thrown everything at it. We absolutely have thrown everything at it. Fantastic that the coverage that we've got lined up for tomorrow. We will continue to do that. We continue to make sure that we tap into all the media channels that we possibly can, and also our branches out there. Our branches have got contacts in local press and local radio stations and things like that, and we know the branches are really working hard to get that media and press coverage. But just remember, the most important people in all of this are you, the CWU members, the people who are the workers in BT and Openreach. You are the most important thing, and actually, we can have as much media coverage as we like, but you are the linchpin here. You are the most important factor in this dispute.
Thank you, Karen. Andy, I want to talk about the importance of members getting on the picket lines tomorrow, showing their physical solidarity. Obviously, we want all the reps to be sending those picket line photos in. We'll be sharing them all over the CW social media channels, handing the best of the pictures to the media. Just how important is it that members physically show their support tomorrow by joining the picket line?
Absolutely essential, in my opinion, Chris. It really is. We need to show this company that we are solid and the solidarity amongst the workforce. So yes, get out there, get on those picket lines. You don't have to stay there all day. We're not asking people to stay there all day, but get out there, show solidarity with your fellow workers. And it is about the collective. This is always about the collective, and if the collective sticks together, we can win this. And we have to show, and the thing about Carl's just said about the media, get the picket lines, get them up there. The media will then start to appear in that. But we're not going to win this fight completely in the media at all. These picket lines are really important. Look, the British public are behind you. I think you have to understand this. All the strikes that's taking place this year in this country, whether it be rail, whether it be post, or whether it be ourselves in BT and Openreach, the public out there understand it. And the reason they understand it is everybody in this country at this point in time is suffering, apart from the big bosses. Everybody is suffering. This government has come in, tried to give a tax back to the richest people in the country, and had to U-turn. That's important, because when they U-turn, because there was protests against that, and they listened to it. This is the same thing, and this is where picket lines are important. Get out there, show your solidarity, and show that we are all together in this, and we are fighting for the same thing. This company will back down at some point. I don't want to disgrace them into a back down. They should have made an offer to us many weeks ago. This did not have to happen. It's not the CWU, it's not my members, you the members, that's actually caused this. The company has caused this. Understand that completely. There is only one enemy here, and it is the bosses of BT. They could have resolved it, and so far they've refused to do it. Get out there on the picket lines. Let's be solid. Let's show them we mean business.
Thank you, Andy. Fantastic. Karen, what are the differences between this bout of action and the previous ones? Obviously, we have withdrawn our support for 999 workers giving cover. They'll be out. I can see loads of our 999 members in the comments saying that they're looking forward to joining the wider membership on the picket line tomorrow. So a shout out for them from you, I suppose. And they've also been integral in the increased media coverage we've been able to secure as well, obviously giving the emotion around that subject matter. But how important is it that our 999 members support the strike? And I suppose, there will be members of the public watching this, just a little bit of an explanation about why we've had to make that choice.
Yeah. So, look, the reason why we made the choice in the beginning to ask our 999 workers to go into work when we had the previous strikes was what we believe for the right reasons. It was we thought that was a reasonable call. We thought it was for the right reasons. But what happened is, having done that, those workers who weren't particularly happy about having to do that in the first place, because they felt as if they wanted to support the strikes, they had voted for strike action and they wanted to support the strikes. And bear in mind, some of these members are some of the lowest paid in the company, and they really do feel undervalued, and yet they provide what the company is saying is such a vitally important service. And I think we'll all accept that it is a vitally important service. But it got to the point where those workers were going into work and they were doing what they believed, or what we believed, or what we asked them to do because we thought that was the right thing to do. They were doing that, and yet the company wasn't actually valuing that at all. Didn't recognize it, didn't, as Andy said earlier, didn't come back to us, didn't even open the door to start talking to us, right? And those people, our members, were saying to us, look, basically, they're taking the mick out of us here, right? We want to take part in this strike action because actually you're asking us to go into work and they are just taking us for granted and not valuing us. So we were faced with a choice where these workers genuinely understand the vital service they provide, but actually feel as if the company is taking them for granted and not valuing them. So yeah, we did make that call. And said, well, actually, we're not going to ask our 999 providers to go into work during the next strikes, because actually the company is not valuing them, and actually the company weren't valuing the whole CWU as far as we were concerned, because quite clearly they weren't interested. They weren't interested in talking to us. They haven't come back to us, as Andy said. They haven't even opened up talks, let alone made an offer. And so we felt as if we needed to do that. And the irony is, yes, it has grabbed media attention. There is no doubt about it, right? And tomorrow there will be media attention, no doubt, because those 999 operators are included in the strike this time. And so they are vitally important. I think they know that anyway, actually. I think, those members that work in the 999 services, they know how important they are, and how actually we hoped that actually would encourage BT to come to the table and to talk to us. But they didn't. They haven't contacted us, or they didn't contact us to even ask why we had taken the decision, or to ask us to change our minds. Basically, what I would say is everything to do with the 999 operators being on strike tomorrow lies at the door of BT, not at the door of the CWU, because it was in BT's gift to be able to resolve that. And it was in BT's gift to be able to resolve this dispute, and it still is BT's gift to resolve this dispute. And we have offered, as Andy mentioned, we have offered to meet with them anytime, and they have not taken up that offer. So we have been the reasonable people in this dispute, and BT really, I think, have been negligent, actually. They've accused us of being reckless and negligent. Actually, I would throw that right back at them.
Thank you, Karen. Brilliant. Andy, there's a bit of a back and forth going on in the comments. I think it's on one of our channels, on YouTube channels, where people are saying that they've seen managers in there saying that they shouldn't support the strike. Well, I mean, obviously, the great again. So if everyone who is back in the strike can flood those comments now by simply putting, I will be on strike. So that's really simple. I will be on strike. I'll get as many of those up on screen as I possibly can, Andy. But we're not here to listen to those managers tonight, are we?
Well, we're certainly not here to listen to managers like that. I'll be clear, I've said this all along. There's a lot of managers out there that are absolutely 100% behind us, the CWU. Unfortunately, they're not our members, but some are. But they're right behind us on this. But there's also managers who think they're going to make some sort of big play to their bosses and get some sort of reward out of this. Well, you're wrong. You're wrong. One thing I will say to you, those managers who are intimidating my members out there on a daily basis, you will never be forgotten. Understand that clearly. You will never be forgotten for this. This is time for all workers to stick together, and we expect managers to stand by us. We don't expect managers, if possible, to cross picket lines. We don't expect managers to do our work of our members. And I will say something about this at this point in time, because we know that managers are being encouraged to do that 9-9 work out there. That is a disgrace. And there was another trade union, I won't even mention the name of it, that has actually taken that decision. I think that is absolutely disgraceful position to be in. Again, like BT, we took the decision on 999. BT could have picked up the phone. They could have asked us why we did it. We would have explained the situation, and we would have said quite clearly, had they committed to talks, we would have reviewed that situation. But I will say this about that other union. If they had also picked up the phone to us and gave us the courtesy of being able to explain to them why we did it, that would have been good too. But they didn't either. And they undermined the CWU. So they also will not be forgotten by the CWU. Let me make that loud and clear to everybody out there and anybody who's listening.
Thank you, Andy. Brilliant. Karen, one of the things I want to address is obviously, the further, this is a question for both of you, really, before I give you the chance to give you your final messages. But the further we go into the dispute, people are seeing that they're thinking, BT are settling in here, that they've got this, they're not moving, they're not speaking to the union. I'm losing money. The dispute doesn't seem to be moving on. How can you reassure our members who are just saying, I'll back the union, I want to take strike action, but I don't feel it's having an impact on the company? What would you say to that group of members?
I would say, look, it is having an impact. It's bound to be having an impact. And I actually think that an awful lot of the members out there know themselves the impact that it's having, right? Because even if, for example, some of the members were saying, yeah, well, it does have an impact, but then in a few days it's recovered. And that might be true. But the fact is, right, it's having the impact that they're having to recover from. So that in itself is having an impact on the company. The strike days that have been announced now, so tomorrow and then next Monday, we know that what happens is BT actually don't put appointments in the books or whatever for those days, and they try to minimize the work for those days. Yeah, well, that's bound to be having an effect, because then you're just pushing those things forward. It's bound to be having an effect. And as I said earlier, it's a cumulative effect. So as we go on through these days of action, actually, it is having an even bigger impact because they haven't really recovered completely from the previous days of strike. Because even though the work stacks might go down, don't forget, there's all that stuff that they didn't book in the first place. So it is having an impact. It will have an impact. We have to keep this up. We have to keep the pressure up, and sticking together is the key to winning. And look, if we don't stick together now and we make sure that we stay solid and win this dispute, it means that there's further problems in the future. And so for everybody, for the sake of not just now, for the future, for your future, for future pay, absolutely, we have to continue to stick together, stay solid, and keep up this fight. Because actually, you can't afford not to. That's the truth. You can't afford not to, because we can't afford to let this company get away with what it's doing to the workers.
Thank you, Karen. Andy, one of the, obviously, you just said earlier on, obviously, we will not hesitate by calling more action, applying more pressure to the company, and we're in this for the long haul, and that's the message we're sending to the employer tonight. lots and lots of members picking up on that and saying that really keen for us to introduce a ballot for overtime ban, and saying, like, you know, if we're going to diversify our tactics, would you and would the executive consider launching another ballot for overtime ban, so, you know, we spread out the pain of the membership but also spread out the hurt to the company?
I think the simple answer to that, Chris, is yes. I think what I said earlier, and we are quite clearly, we did have an executive today. We have had some discussions earlier today, and we rule nothing out. And people have got some good ideas. We come up with these days of action because there were certain dates and there was reasons for it, and we did had a bit of research done on it. But we will not rule out anything, and we will look at that. We will potentially have to ballot again anyway at some point due to the legislation in this country. So when we do that, we will sit down again as an executive. We'll consider all the issues and what best it is, because as I said, we're quite clear. We're not walking away from this in any way, shape or form. We understand the suffering sometimes that strikes do cause our members. We don't want that. It's always been the view is we want the least impact on our members and the biggest impact in the company. That's what still drives us. So we will look at other things and other ways of doing that. But, you know, we have been talking about overtime bans and work to rules. Thing with overtime bans, it doesn't affect every part of the company. It does affect some more than others. The work to rules, well, you know, we're quite clear. We may ballot in that, you know, but you know, there is, what is a work to rule these days? You know, it's really working to what your job description is, working to, you know, the health and safety regulations that's out there, and or as I would put it, probably just doing what everybody really should be doing anyway. In some ways, and you can read from that whatever you like. But that's the sort of thing. So yes, absolutely, Chris, we're not going to rule that out. It's one of the certainly the tactics we may very well use in the future, but we might also use the overtime ban and industrial action if that's the thing. Everything's up for consideration, and we will do that over the next few weeks. I think the important point is we want the company back around the table. We want them to be serious about that. Don't just come to us if they wanted to come and play a game. We're not into playing games with it, and neither are we about sitting down in the green something that gives us the old jam tomorrow stuff. That's not the game we play at all. This company can't afford to give us something. Other companies in this country have done it. They've woke up to what the situation is. They understand about the workforce. You know, this company does not seem to understand its workforce whatsoever, and it seems to me quite clearly they just couldn't care less. So enough is enough as far as I'm concerned. We will look at every avenue.
Thank you, Andy. Brilliant. Karen, really, I want to give you both now, starting with you, Karen, if I can, the chance to just close up the session on your behalf and just emphasise just how important it is that members continue to back the strike. Karen.
So look, nothing that's worth fighting for is easily got, right? So this is worth fighting for. In fact, we can't afford not to fight for it. So it's so important, right? We're trying to minimise the impact on members as much as we possibly can. But when we call the action, it is absolutely vital that you support it. So tomorrow morning, get out there, get on those picket lines, show your support, show your solidarity. It doesn't have to be for long, but just get out there, show that solidarity, actually support the strikes, because it is so important in order for us to win. And winning is so important for the future. So get on those picket lines tomorrow morning. That's the most important thing.
Thank you, Karen. Brilliant. Andy, some final words from you, mate.
Well, I think most of it's been said, Chris, but, you know, I just have to reiterate what Karen just finished off with there. You know, this is a struggle. They call it a struggle. They've always called it the struggle for the working class, and they didn't call it that for nothing. Nothing is ever easy. To win any dispute, to win any fight, to fight for the workers of this country, we've always had to struggle over many, many years. This is just another one. It's out there. You're not any different. The people in the rail industry that's just taking industrial action for the same matter. You're the same as our Royal Mail colleagues that are taking industrial action for the same reasons. And you're the same as many other Liverpool dockers, people all up and down this country. You know, the bin men in Glasgow and other parts of the country have been taking industrial action on pay, because every person, working class person in this country, is suffering at this point in time. Some may be suffering much more than others. This is a time to stand up against BT, stand up against the bosses, not only of this company, but of this country in some way. Show your solidarity with each other. This is not a political campaign. I couldn't care less who you voted for in a general election. This is not a political campaign. This is an industrial campaign. Everybody should stick together, no matter of their political allegiance. Get out there, get in that picket line, and show these people that you mean business.
Thank you, Andy. I can't think of a more emphatic way to end the session. They're brilliant, and I can see loads of you backing what Andy and Karen are saying. So as Andy said and Karen said, this is a moment for you to make some choices. Are you with your union, or are you with the bosses, your local rep, or Phil Janssen, your colleagues, or Simon Louth? Are you fighting for a pay rise, or are you going to hand it to the shareholders? We're all very, very proud to represent you, and we can't wait to see you on the picket lines tomorrow. Solidarity, everybody, and good night.